Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this video is going to include everything I wish I would have known before I even applied to nursing school. If you are in nursing school, if you're a new grad nurse, if you've been a nurse for under a year, or if you've been a nurse for 10 years plus, this video is for you. I have tried to film this a few times already, and I had a whole outline planned out, bullet points and everything like that, but I just want to talk candidly. So much of nursing is by the books and guidelines and policies and protocols. I want to talk like a real person and talk about my experience. And through this video, I'm going to just be talking openly about my experience, but also what I'm applying now because I'm in leadership and my mentality with nursing. So just kind of bear with me. I may be all over the place. You've heard the terms nursing shortage, burnout, leaving the bedside, etc., etc. But nobody ever asks why, past the point of, oh, it's just a stressful job. And that's what I want to talk about today. Myself and my nursing history. Whenever I applied to nursing school, I did not shadow anyone. I really did not know what nursing entailed, but I applied, I went, I needed a secure job. I have worked in the emergency department, orthopedic surgery, critical care, the ICU. I've been floated to the floor. I've been a project manager and a data analyst for an emergency department. I've worked in a med spa as an aesthetic RN or cosmetic RN. I am now a nurse manager over an entire hospital. And in all transparency, I was already burnt out as a new nurse 6 months in. I was ready to quit at that point, and a few times I did quit. I at one point left to go do food delivery. At one point I left to go be a barista. At one point I left to go work for my mom's company. She owns a florist, so I did weddings with her for quite a while. If you ask 99% of nurses, the medical complexity of patients is not what burns them out. It is the lack of resources, it is high nurse to patient ratios, it is mandated overtime, it is mandated call, government regulations, insurance companies, yada yada yada. People oftentimes want to say, well, why do we care about the insurance agencies? Why don't we just treat the patient? Why don't we just do what's best for the patient? And we do as bedside nurses. I worked in the ER primarily for all of my bedside career, and the last thing on our mind was insurance. Our whole mindset in the ER was, you come to us with an emergency, we're going to stabilize, and all that's going to come out on the back end. Our main priority was just saving lives, which is a part of why I love the emergency department so much. But nonetheless, at some point in a patient's healthcare journey, payment is going to be something that has to happen. And on the hospital side of things, that is how hospitals keep their lights on, keep things running, keep nurses and staff paid. So while I hate to view it as this, the reality is that healthcare is a business in the United States. Not saying whether that's right, wrong, indifferent, whatever, but it's the reality that we're faced with, and the reality I face a lot in the healthcare industry. And why that is relevant to burnout and why nursing is so stressful is because that is applied to every nursing unit, every hospital, every clinic, everything. And that is optimization, flow, cost. Before I got into nursing, what nursing was in my head was nothing like what it actually is in real life. I was not one of those people that thought it was all cutesy and I get to wear scrubs and I get to bring you your medicine. I knew it was hard, and I knew you were cleaning up patients, and I knew you were working with doctors, and patients could get really upset with you and you're with people in their worst times. I knew all the obvious things. But what I didn't know was the dynamics of a hospital, working with management, working with leadership, working with doctors, working with care techs or nursing assistants, delegating tasks, recruiting resources, communicating across different departments. Those are the things that I didn't know, that nursing school didn't teach, that were the hardest part for me. I did jump straight into the ER. I didn't know where I wanted to work, so I went to the ER, and it was really hard. You're obviously dealing with ER patients in the worst time of their life, dealing with circumstances they did not expect, or accidents that they didn't expect to happen, of course, because that's why they're called accidents. We can talk about toxic leadership. That was one thing. As a new nurse, I was definitely a part of the Nurses Eat Their Young movement or whatever. My first ever preceptor, she gave it to me straight. She taught me a lot, but she was tough. One charge nurse specifically, she was just really rough on me, just a harsh person. And I won't get too much into that because ultimately later on when we worked together, she had a change of heart and we were cool and all the things. Next up, hospitals are ran by your CNOs, your CEOs, your COOs, all of them, and they base everything off of metrics. A lot of people villainize that, where they're like, oh, CEOs just care about numbers, management just cares about KPIs or these boards on the wall. And while it can get really annoying, at the end of the day, those numbers equate to patients, to patient outcomes, For example, fall rates, hospital acquired infections, your CAUTIs, your CLABSIs. Those things are so annoying to hear about, especially when you are pressing the gas as hard as you can in a bedside shift. But those numbers equate to patient outcomes. So just don't let metrics stress you too hard, but be conscious of them. Sorry, Lemon is wanting to join in on our nursing talk. So, see? Don't get too annoyed with KPIs or numbers or metrics, and don't villainize them. Just know that there are patients on the other side of those numbers. I'm a strong believer that competence equals confidence. And what I mean by that is, for a nurse or any staff member in any profession, honestly, to be able to fully dig their heels in, look up, smell the roses, make some friends, engage at work, be one of those just, diehard staff members for a company or for a unit or whatever, the first step in all of that, I firmly believe, is competence. And what I mean by that is a nurse being able to get through her shift somewhat knowing what's going on and feeling a little bit confident in her decisions, and knowing the medication she's giving, knowing the orders that she's fulfilling from providers. And not saying that you ever have to know everything. No nurse knows everything. Even nurses who've been involved in the field for decades upon decades still can learn new things every single day. But the point I'm making is, before you can get to the point of confidence, you have to learn the basics, and you have to get your flow going. You have to know your unit, and you have to know the people, and you have to know the doctors, you have to know your leaders, right? And you're like, what is that doctor's name that's even the attending on this chart? I don't even know their name. And then you have to run out and you have to be like, hey, who's the doctor for room 24? And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know the last doctor. Now I see this one coming on. Who is that? Like, those moments are the stressful things in your first year. So next up, and I am not a financial advisor, this is not financial advice, but if you are starting nursing or you're already in nursing and you have big purchases you want to make, or if you have large amounts of debt that you want to pay off, my biggest piece of advice, especially if you're new, before you burn out, before you get tired, have a financial game plan. I did not. My first year of nursing, I spent a lot of my money. I saved a little bit, and I got a new apartment, I got a new car, and all the things. So I didn't do totally wrong financially, but I really wish whenever I was new and I had a lot more energy and I was able to work 4, 5, 6 days a week back to back to back, no problem. I wish in those times I would have been attacking debt a little bit harder, but you live and you learn. But if you're watching this, just get a financial game plan. A lot of hospitals have financial advisors. Reach out to them. Reach out to local financial advisors, or at bare minimum, I use Rocket Money to just keep track of my money. I use Credit Karma, and I also use Google Sheets and Excel. Whatever route you want to go, just choose one to go and get your financial life in line. And you're gonna do the math, and you're gonna find out, oh, I can make X amount of dollars picking up 2 extra shifts a week, or 1 extra shift gives me however X amount of dollars. You're gonna figure that out. But if you don't have a game plan of where you're headed, you're gonna do like me and just spend it all. So to my next point, going off of that with a financial game plan, you need to have a career game plan. Whatever you want your life to look like, you need to be working on that from day one at your nursing shift, because you're gonna see the same pipeline start happening with a lot of nurses. A lot of them, especially if you're in the hospital or in acute care of any sort, you're going to see the RN to nurse practitioner pipeline. If you're in critical care, you're going to see the RN to CRNA pipeline. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to get realistic of what you want your life to look like. Do you want to work in a clinic? Do you want to be on call? Do you want to have to work overnight? Do you want to work weekends? Do you want to work holidays? All these things, I need you to consider them, because I see so many people say, oh, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I can work 12-hour shifts. I can work overnight. I made the mistake. I tried night shift many times, and although I fit in really well on night shift and I love the personality of night shift, my body is not made for night shift. So all of these pieces of advice, I'm telling you, I've lived through, and I wish somebody would have told me. So just word to the wise. A saying I always say, I always tell my coworkers, my peers, whenever I'm talking with staff members, what do you want your Tuesday afternoon to look like? I don't want you to ask the question, what does my life need to look like? Or what do I want my dream life to look like? That's too broad. What do you want your holiday season to look like? What does December need to look like for you? What does your Wednesday afternoon need to look like? What do your mornings need to look like? Do you want to be an early riser? Do you want to be able to sleep in late? Do you want to be on your own schedule? Do you want to be on a 3 in a row 12-hour shift and you're done type schedule? You need to consider all these things, and you need to be moving towards those things, and you don't need to accept anything other than those things. Next up is possible career paths that I wish I would have known in nursing whenever I first got started, and I found out the hard way. So like I said, a lot of people go NP, CRNA route, but you need to consider different roles within a hospital as well. There are roles like infection control, aka infection preventionist, unit educators, hospital educators, nurse recruitment, so that's more over on the HR side. There are quality nurses to ensure quality. Me, myself, I worked on the data side of healthcare for a while and project management, so opening up new units, opening up new processes, things like that. You can work with that. And don't even get me started on all the possibilities outside of a hospital. Nursing informatics, home health, nurse entrepreneurship. Another thing is just be conscious of your leadership and the general culture of wherever you're at. I've worked in many settings, from outpatient surgery centers to freestanding clinics to private owned to large hospital corporations, and every one of them is a little bit different and comes with their pros and cons. For example, there's usually more leniency and fun and openness and closeness with private practices, but you lose that efficiency and standardization and everything being found in a policy or this or that. You lose some of that. And but working on a hospital side, it's more rigid, and it's going to be more what applies to one applies to all, and there's no wiggle room, and it's very straightforward. So that's something to consider as well. If you're a nurse and you're finding yourself burnt out, stressed out, the first thing I want you to do is stop and ask yourself why. If you feel comfortable with patient care but you're working night shift and it is wreaking havoc on your body, you need to consider going to day shift. If you get along with everybody great on your unit and it's going well, but you always find yourself behind on med pass or behind on patient tasks, you need to ask somebody how to help with delegation or whatever you need. But you have to identify the source of your burnout and why it's stressing you out so bad. Because if you say, I'm going to fix everything all at once, that's never going to work. But if you start chipping away at areas that are weighing on you one by one, collectively, it'll get better for you. Just know that there's hope. I always thought that nursing was always going to be so stressful to me and I was never going to be happy in my job. But there is hope on the other side, but you have to have a game plan and you have to know where you're headed. Basically, just know that you're going to go through some hard times. I told somebody the other day, whenever I started working in the ER, I eventually made my way up and made it to where I am now, which is a spot I'm very happy with, but took years and years of work and a lot of hard work. But I was saying that in the ER, my name was not made on the days that I was working in minor care, doing minor care tasks. It was made on the days that were crazy in the ER, where there was traumas coming in back to back, STEMI, strokes, all the things, and I was still able to stand up to all the pressure and keep performing and keep pushing forward and give my patients the best care and be able to carry a load with a good attitude in a systematic, efficient way. And that's what got me to where I am now. I'm going to be wrapping up this video now. If y'all have any questions, please drop them below. I want to revisit this subject, but I just want to give y'all real talk of my experience, and hopefully this helps somebody. I'll see you on the next video. Bye!